Hi, I'm Michael Carnuccio, CEO of Salt and Light Leadership Training, joined once again by Wes Lane, the founder of SALT. And this week on The Fountain, we're going to be talking about an overcoming faith. You know, there's times in our life that can feel overwhelming, right? We can feel despair, we can kind of feel stuck, and we can't see the future. In some ways, many of us are going through that right now. There's great challenge that overwhelms us. But yet, at these times, it's also an opportunity for us to grow deeper in our faith. But if we let it, it can help us to grow ourselves and to come out on the other end stronger in a deeper faith and understanding our purpose with crystal clarity. Wes, today we're talking about that kind of overcoming faith.
Yeah, Michael, you're exactly right. And so, let me start off with a little story here. And in 1636, was one of the last great outbreaks of the plague in Europe. And in Germany, there lived a Lutheran pastor by the name of Martin Rinkart. And in that year, because he became the only living pastor remaining in that area, he personally performed some 4,000 funerals, including that of his wife. And yet, in the midst of all of that depth and despair, he was able to pen one of the greatest hymns to ever come out of Germany. And here's just a stanza from that. Now thank we all our God with heart and hands and voices, who wondrous things has done, in whom this world rejoices, who from our mother's arms has blessed us on our way with countless gifts of love, and still is ours today. What kind of person could write a hymn of overcoming faith in the midst of being surrounded by all this sadness? Well, recently I had an opportunity to interview on our podcast, Hope Leads, an overcomer herself. And her name is Amy Downs. And Amy was one of the last people that were removed from the rubble of the Murrah building in 1995 after the bombing. She said that as she laid in the darkness, buried beneath tons of concrete, it became a clarifying moment. And as she cried out to God and she looked back at her life and she realized, I have lived an utterly complacent existence. And she vowed that if I get out of this alive, I'm going to become this person that I ought to become. And when she got out, and when she did survive, and she got out, but she said that the hard thing was to go from a mindset, from being that of a victim, to the mindset of a survivor, and then taking the steps to having the mindset of an overcomer. So you and I have that challenge as well. I don't know about you, but almost on a daily basis, I don't wake up every morning having the mindset of an overcomer. I have to contend for that. And and I bet you do too. But and it's the same way with our faith. And so as we think about, even with our faith, Amy said that a great truth that we should all really cling to. She said this: one small, unamazing step repeated over time can ultimately yield amazing results.
That's powerful. And let's think about that within the context of our walk right now, of our own faith. Is this a moment that can be leveraged as an overcoming faith, that we can grow deeper into that? I want to read you, Wes, something from Romans 12:2, and this is the Amplified version. And do not be conformed to this world any longer with its superficial values and customs, but be transformed and progressively changed as you mature spiritually by the renewing of your mind, focusing on godly values and ethical attitudes, so that you may prove for yourselves that the will of God is that which is good and acceptable and perfect in His plan and purpose for you. That's powerful.
It is indeed. And in fact, that construct of renewing your mind, let's think about what Amy said about taking those small, unamazing steps which ultimately can yield an amazing result. But let's do that within the context of our own faith journey. So I came to faith in the mid-'80s after a series of personal, self-inflicted disasters. But today I can believe God for more than I could 30 plus years ago, and I'm sure it's the same way with you. But we're all on this faith continuum, and as I have been pondering what Amy said, I started thinking about the person that God sees me as becoming, and do I have the requisite level of faith to overcome the obstacles that will surely be in my path? And if we don't know the answer to that, then all we have to do is ask God, because remember, God is always calling us up to the best version of ourselves. And hey, Jesus has a big view of what we can do through him. Listen to this, what Jesus said in John chapter 14. Most assuredly I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do. Did you hear that? He who believes in me, the works that I do, he will do also. And greater works than these he'll do, because I go to my Father. And whatever you ask in my name, that I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything in my name, I'll do it. So Amy said that she had to set a goal, she had to identify a pathway to that, and then she had to execute the willpower to do so. Just this week, as I've just been pondering what Amy said within the context of my faith, I've had to realize, Lord, that is the person that I want to become. I've taken that one unamazing step, and it was just simply to say, Father, help me on that path. And then you know how I execute the willpower to do that? As I just keep showing up. I just keep showing up day by day by day. That's my prayer is that will in the end serve me to become that person that God has always envisioned for me. And I'm no different than you. No different at all. And so I just want to encourage you that today, you would contemplate, am I that man or woman that God is willing for me to be? And might I ask him for that small, unamazing step that I might become everything that he's willing for me to be?
Imagine what it would look like in this city if the body of Christ were uniformly reaching up toward that overcoming faith. Imagine what it would look like for our families, for our colleagues in our places of work, for us internally, but also our role in this city. What would that look like if that was our thought, if that, just as Wes said, if that's how we approached every day? You know, no more being caught up with the social media and looking at Facebook or Twitter or anything for updates, getting an update from the news on coronavirus cases, but instead turning toward the Word and focusing ourselves on an overcoming faith. What would that look like? And so, Wes, we have a couple questions we want to leave with everyone this week for them to spend some time together talking through and thinking about this concept of an overcoming faith. In a pandemic moment like we are in right now, what would my conduct, what would your conduct look like if we had an overcoming faith? Where are we really opposed to that degree of faith right now? And then a second question would be, what are the next unamazing steps, as Wes has said, these unamazing steps that we could take that would put us on that trajectory toward an overcoming faith? And I should mention to everybody too, Wes, that they can find that hymn, they can listen to it and see it. We have a link that is on the website. Go to salt.com and you can get that link and listen to that hymn. Wes, this has been a very powerful and can help us moving forward message this week. Any closing thoughts?
No, just keep pressing into that. That's what I'm doing. I mean, we have only one life to live. Let's live it to the fullest. And
again, on behalf of everyone at SALT, we believe in you and believe in what's happening in the city. And if we can do anything to help you, to pray for you, or to rally around you, please let Wes and I and our colleagues know. Until next week, have a wonderful week.